This episode of DocTales is rated FYIA. We are talking about sex. If you have a problem with sex, please do not listen. If you contact Owen J.J. Stone with petty BS, he will rip into you. For the record, FYIA means fuck you in advance for those of you that have a problem with this content. For the rest of you, please enjoy.
Yo, what up? It's your boy Owen J.J. Stone, aka O Doctor. I don't even know what day it is. I don't know what time it is, but I just rushed home through traffic because I got a phone call from somebody that I'm super excited about. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. If you got shekels thrown to me on Patreon, I don't care. If you don't, if you're broke, that's great. Just subscribe on iTunes, that's free. Subscribe on YouTube, that's free. Pigeon Carrier, that's free. Do whatever you need to do, but just make sure that you support me in some way so that I feel like you love me the same way I love you. Now today, I have somebody on here that, you'll never really see me ever really get super excited, like blushy face about anything. But as a young man, when you have fantasies about things and you dream about a woman that you never think you're going to meet and or see, and she's out of your price range, out of your thought range, and all the things that happen. And then one day you grow up and you're really an older man, and then you meet this woman and she's such a lovely, awesome person. Oh, it makes your heart melt inside. And so today with me, I can tell you about the best ass in the business, because see, nowadays everybody pumping up the butt, putting all this stuff in there. This is like pre-fake booty, best ass in the business. So this is like legit. It has been stamped and approved for a time period that is resounded and understood. Best ass in the business. This is legit and this is real. Today with me is Nina Hartley. Say hi, Nina.
Hi, Doctor.
So first of all, how horrible is it for you to know that men blush over you when they see you? Like just the.
It's so wonderful. I love it. It just makes me happy because it means that they understand that I like them as much as they like me. My joke is I would be with everybody but logistics. Logistics. And
I got a shot.
I couldn't be everywhere, so I sent them movies. And more importantly, I couldn't be everywhere because they would have arrested my ass for being with people underage. So, you know what? I sent them movies because I'm there in spirit. I really do want everyone. I want everyone to find a way to be happy in their skins so they can make contact with other people or a person, even one person, for love and affection and pleasure. It's really, really important, especially in our world going to hell in a handbasket. The one thing that each human being has, rich or poor, young or old, black or white, queer or irregular, is the pleasure that can be had in your own body with your bits.
So, first of all, you just said a whole bunch of eloquence and joy. Let me just side note this real quick, because we're not going to talk about any of the important stuff. This woman is a highly intelligent, highly classy. This woman is so in depth you wouldn't understand. I'm going to link up the Young Turks interview where they ask her a whole myriad of things about her past and where she grew up and her family and her history and religion and life, and you're going to feel stupid about yourself when you watch it. But I'll link that up. We're not going to talk about any of that today because that's already been done.
Talking about boobs today?
Yeah, we're talking about boobs today. So let me start off with one of the other things you said, which was underage. So you were my first VHS experience because my uncle left it in the player.
It's the uncle.
It's always the uncle. He left it in the player, and I forget. I don't know what movie I was going to watch because obviously when that comes on, you change your whole mindset and you forget. And I was like, what is this? And then I was like, oh, okay. So long story short about that, I could, oh man, I don't know if I could tell people, but me and my neighbor, the girl that lived next door to me, she was like 3 years older than me. We watched you for like a week straight, trying to figure out like what's going on and because what's sex and all that kind of crazy stuff. Right. So my first experience with you was somebody left it in the player and forgot to take it. And so you were the first thing I ever saw.
Doctor, that is so common. And, my brother, my uncle, my stepdad. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, especially like when you're underage and, like at that point I'd already seen like magazines and stuff like that because I had an older brother and things like that, but I didn't know like that there was like video or like, yeah. I'm like, right. They're doing it and they don't have any clothes on. And what are they doing? And
oh my gosh, yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, well, oh, okay. That's cool. And again, as a boy, you don't really get the whole birds and the bees conversation.
You don't. No, you don't. You don't really. And that's a whole other conversation. It's actually quite timely. The what really makes me sad, of course, in modern days is that, adult movies, which are designed just to be funny or to get you off, are being used by our undereducated young people for sex education, because our schools are so weak and our communities are so scared of the right wing. They will not insist that every young person receive age-appropriate, medically accurate, factually based sex education. And so people are looking at cartoons, because I like porn. I like making porn. It's fun. But the most important thing to think about for people you watching at home, putting your life against pornography life, pornography is a cartoon. Okay, if you just think of it, it's like watching WWE wrestling. It's cartoons. So don't think that your sex life is supposed to look like pornography. Don't think your sex life is supposed to be like pornography. A person's sex life is supposed to make them happy, keep them safe, and make connections, hopefully, with other people. That's an actual human person sex life. The rest of it, I have sex on the moon. I have sex in the bottom of the ocean. I have sex with 50 gajillion guys at once in my mind, because in real life, sort of can't happen. So, That's
interesting. I never thought of it like as a cartoon, but it's literally like Tom and Jerry. Like you can't bop a mouse over the head 50 million times and have them not die. It's just not realistic. So when you're sticking in a girl's ear, you can't just go up to a random girl and stick it in her ear and think she's going to love it. She's like, "What are you doing?"
Right, and you also can't, and also most women do not start having orgasms within 10 seconds of being penetrated with an object.
Well,
just saying.
I mean, it depends on who are you talking to. Yeah, when you're talking about what I'm talking about,
With you, of course, with you, doctor,
always,
too. Of course, because you're a doctor.
Yeah, it's the key thing that I've learned from a lot of women in my lifetime, the compliment that I get most is that I'm present.
Yes.
I said, what is that? Like, when I didn't know what that meant, but like 3 women said it. And finally, I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, dudes don't pay attention to what's going on. Like, you're in the rhythm, and if I go a certain way, you'll keep going to get me there. Other guys just start going left and they're going right, and I was like, stay right.
Yep, so good. That actually one of the nicest compliments that a woman can give a man, because a woman, it doesn't matter. It's not a woman worth your time in bed. A woman mature enough to actually want her in your bed, not someone who's interested in your wallet or your car or with this or whatever, but a lover, not a piece of ass, but a lover. Yeah. A female lover, she wants to feel recognized and seen. So when a woman says you're present, that means she's experiencing you in the room with her and she's liking it. Meaning I'm having a real experience. So if I go left, he goes left, because he's present enough to pay attention to my body language. And he's not so stuck up in his own head that he's just, I call it pussy fever. So as a person who owns a vulva, there are 3 ways to have it interacted with. So there's laying there and having the person go, oh my God, it's a pussy, oh my God. And I could be any pussy. He's not connecting to me. It's just like, oh my God, it's a vulva, wow. Okay, and that's most women's experience with men, because men have not learned how to be present. And then there is me teaching the guy, okay, here's this part, here's that part, and the guy's paying attention, but he doesn't know much. And then there's someone who goes back and forth. It's like ping pong or dancing or tennis. It's like, so good lovemaking. It's not about how big is your penis. It's about in the moment. Am I experiencing my partner here in the room with me? And that's what a woman wants. Yeah, she wants to have an experience that I connected with somebody. This is great. He actually paid attention. He kissed back. He didn't try to put it in my butt without talking about it. I mean, so anyway, of all the compliments you could have, to have 3 different women say that says a lot about you. So go you.
Yay me, which I go me all the time. So back to the other thing you said, I love talking to you because you talk like me. I rant and I go off on these tangents and you go off on these tangents, and we're like, I just love it. So I just always draw you back to education. I'm going to tell you a quick story because this is DocTales, where we tell stories. My friend had one of those situations where he caught his daughter with a boy's penis on the phone, and she had sent pictures of her boobs back to him, and she's 16, and he's like, well, what do I do? And I was like, well, At this point, you're kind of too late. Well, what do? What do you mean? You didn't talk to her about anything. She's already got sex on her brain, and so you should go talk to her about it and try to have a conversation with her. And he's like, oh, that's her mom's job. And I'm like, you need to man up and do your job. He's like, well, what would you do? Now, mind you, my daughter's 9, but I'm raising a ninja. So let me tell you a brief story about sex with my daughter. First of all, she's 9. So next year, or when she turns 11, we're going to have a very extensive talk about sex. And when she gets to be probably like around 12, she's going to, once the doctor allows her, she's going to be on birth control. I will go to some of those doctor visits with her and her mom, just so I know what's going on and I can understand. And then, to her mother's chagrin, which I've already told her, I said, look, I've got a real simple rule about sex. You want to have sex? Have sex in my home. I don't care whatever you're doing, have sex in my home. And she's like, why would you tell her that? And I was like, look, because they're going to do it anyway. I don't want her doing it in the woods. I don't want her doing it in a car. And if a boy does something to her, she says stop or no, we got pit bulls here. We got security here. We got me here. We got sheets and evidence here.
And he has to leave her home.
Yes.
She's not at his home.
Yes. And so she doesn't get kicked.
Kudos to you. Go Papa, because go Papa.
I'm like, you don't understand. Like, he's like, oh man, that's crazy. You're not going to do that with your kid. I'm like, you're putting your child out in the wilderness to go have sex in Susie's basement and maybe walk home naked or something because somebody took her clothes, or all kinds of things could happen because they don't have any comfort zone. I was like, you have to explain to them and give them, especially when you have a female. I don't have a boy, so I don't really know, but I'm a boy. I got sisters.
I used to be a girl, so first, go Papa. So yay you. There's a wonderful resource for you, Dad, called scarletine.com. Scarlet, like the color, EEN. So scarletine.com. And then this is a book that you should get.
The Sex and Pleasure book. Good vibration. Guide to Great.
Carol Queen. And Shar, yeah.
Shar.
So this is a book that, if you have it, a friend of mine had a sex book for her daughter's now 23, but she was a single mom. And so she got the book and she left it in the bookshelf where her daughter could see it. And she said over the months it would move around the bookshelf. And so this book is one of those things that it's there. And then when she wants to take a look, she can take a look. It's super age appropriate. You'll get the book first and you'll find out, you'll see, okay, I'm going to keep this aside for a couple of years. But it's all about, there's great resources out there for parents who want to raise smart people when it comes to sex. So definitely when it comes to not just going to the doctor, but saying, you know what, here's what I would do if I had a kid. Sweetheart, sex is wonderful, lovely, all the things, all the alls. But I would recommend that before you get a person in bed with you, that you learn how to give yourself pleasure. Because what happens when we tell kids first, you're smart, it's going to happen anyway. And we tell kids, no, don't do it. So they don't explore, they don't think about it. And so the first time someone touches them and they have that magic feeling, they think it comes from the other person. They don't realize it's coming from them. It's their body. So if your daughter, when she gets interested in that kind of thing, to self-pleasuring, when she realizes my body does this.
Yeah.
It's not him.
And then she doesn't fall in love with Marco because she thinks
magic.
Yeah, she thinks Marco is like the magic beanstalk and falls in love and cries herself to sleep.
Exactly. So hopefully by the time she's with the partner, she'll have learned how to give herself enough pleasure that she recognizes that it's not Marco's amazing, he's magic, Daddy. It's like, he's okay.
Yeah.
I'm better.
That's something that I didn't think about. That is a great tip of information. My general rule of thumb, again, I say stuff, people think I'm crazy. So my daughter is currently a brown belt in karate. And so when she gets to be a black belt in that, she's also going to have to get another black belt in jiu-jitsu. And so the rule is you're allowed to date when you have 2 black belts. And she says all the time, like, oh, you're going to be one of those dads that follows me around. And I'm like, dude, I don't care what time you bring her home. You bring her home 9:30, 10 o'clock, you're going to come home when she wants to come home. Let's put it this way. I can't stop her from fucking, but I can make sure nobody takes it from her. And that's my only goal. All the dads say, oh, I'd kill a guy. And all. What are you going to do when she's out at the movies and by herself and you're not there? Like when something happens and she comes home, I'll be like, "What hospital is he in?" That's the only question I need to know. Because
you're a great dad. She's a very lucky girl to have a papa like you, and go Papa. Hats off to you, kudos, because again, the confidence. So there's confidence. I can take care of myself, and then there's knowledge. Oh, that sensation is not new to me.
Yeah.
You're not the magic. You're not the magic boy.
That was a great point. I never even thought about that. That was something that wasn't in my repertoire.
You're not a girl, and that's okay. Because if you were a girl, you wouldn't be you.
No, I mean, and I pride myself very much on paying attention to women, knowing women. When I was in school, like all the way from like 3rd grade until like 7th grade, when it wasn't okay anymore, I sat at the girls' table, and all my guy friends were like, "Why are you sitting with all the girls?" And I'm like, "Cause they're girls. Why wouldn't you want to sit with the girls? Like, we like the girls. We talk. I was like, y'all talk about them. I'm over here sitting with them. So I know who likes who. I learned how to talk to women.
And to them.
Exactly. I figured out how to talk to women, what makes them happy, what they don't like. I learned about all this stuff. And I got 2 sisters. So it's like, once you figure out a woman, it's easy to figure out a woman, which was what most men don't get. You know.
Well, they don't try, because they're not told that women are interesting enough to learn about. My husband's the same as you, is that he's a heterosexual dude, and he has a couple good male friends, but he is a good friend to women because he finds them interesting and wants to hear about what they think. And he is of average height, he's average weight, he was never super rich, he's not a big rock star, but he has had tremendous success with women over the years. I mean, he's had more women than I've had, which is really hard to do, right? And because like with you, he's present with them, and they appreciate the experience. They have him come back. They want him to do it again.
We sound like brothers. That's the thing.
So, yeah,
I tell people all the time, I'm like, I'm in the long con game. Once I get in the door, even when we break up, we're still friends. We're not arguing. We're cool. They get lonely. They call me up. We hang out. We go out to dinner. We have a good night. I leave. I don't get these strange phone calls or all this craziness going on, because they understand the situation, because we're friends. And that's what people say, oh, friends with benefits. Like, yeah, there's a difference between actual friends with benefits and just screwing somebody you kind of hate, that you don't like anymore, that you're just lonely at the moment, and you know that you don't like the person.
Benefits kind of girl. I like that. So it sounds like, so where's home base for you? I don't. Where do you live?
I live in New Jersey, but the world thinks that I live in major cities. So I travel to LA and San Fran a lot, and I'm in New York a lot. So people on Facebook, they tag me in LA all the time, and you can live in a major city and not see people. So people all the time when I actually tell them, like, no, I live in Jersey, like, no, bro, don't you live in East LA? And I'm like, no, I don't live in Los Angeles. Like,
I visit.
So, yeah, I'm stuck here because of my kid. I love my kid. Her mother is a teacher. She has tenure. She's never going to leave, and I don't want to be a weekend dad. So we have 50-50 custody. So I'm here most of the time. I travel for work.
As a daddy's girl, you will not be sorry for this investment of your time now. You won't be sorry.
I love it.
You'll only be a dad. This is it. And my dad passed at 95 years old, and I was a daddy's girl to the end. So you're investing your time wisely at this time in her life.
And it's fun. You know what I mean? I'm one of those people.
Now to really be fun, because she can do things now.
Yeah, she, like I said, she's 9 and she's awesome. She's like me, basically. Her mother is the sweet, loving person. Her mother's one of those Girl Scout, true people. And so my daughter gets all that, and then she gets all the rest of the logic from me.
I can't meet her in 10 years.
Yes, she's going to be a beast. If you ask her right now what she has to buy me, she says a yacht. Like, she needs to buy me a yacht. I don't care how she does it. I don't care what she has to do in life, but I need a yacht, and that's my only requirement. I don't need a Father's Day card. I don't need any of these cookies. Daddy needs a yacht. It's very simple. Just whatever the minimum requirement is for a yacht. It doesn't even have to be a big one.
You know what? You got to get a rowboat. Is what you got to get.
I refuse. I need this yacht, and that's the bottom line. So what was the one thing I was going to ask you? When you were younger and all that good stuff, did you experience yourself before you experienced somebody else? Is that what got you going?
I did. I grew up in the 60s and 70s in Berkeley, California. So it was a little magical piece of alien landscape. My parents were civil rights activists. I'm a third generation civil rights activist. My grandfather fought for the Scottsboro Boys in Alabama. My parents took me to plenty of marches, and growing up in my household, the heroes were Paul Robeson and Frederick Douglass and Malcolm and Martin. And so is also the time, the 60s and 70s was the time of the human potential movement and all this therapies. And at the time, it was a lot of therapy. And what kind of therapies in the 60s, Nina? Oh, my gosh, let's see. Bubbling around my youth in various permutations, bioenergetics, biofeedback, encounter therapy, group therapy, marriage counseling, Reichian therapy, EST, Scientology, Hare Krishna.
What is EST?
Gay rights movements, black rights movements, beginning of the environmental movement. EST is Earhart Seminar Training, EST, and it was the beginning. It was pre-Jerome Robbins, pre-Tony Robbins, but EST was a cult of personality that took money, got people together, and through really difficult weekends, forced people to break down their denial and break. Anyway, it said many people did get benefit from it. It did end up being, I think, also rather jokey. I think Earhart is still alive. He's got to be only in his 70s. He's not an old person. But the idea what I grew up with was casting about for ways to become happy and connected and more realized people. So I wasn't raised in religion, but I was raised in the idea, very Berkeley, very California, of finding yourself. You could make the life you wanted for yourself. And my parents were deeply into trying to save their marriage. I was a neglected youngest. My older siblings were out of the house, so I had a lot of time to myself. And so I was able to read whatever I wanted. And so it turned out that whatever I wanted happened to be books about sex. And when I got to be babysitting in my middle teenage years, that also included pornography. And turned out in the beginning of it, it's I liked it a lot. This was really awesome stuff. And there's also books, the 70s. So sensuous man, sensuous woman, everything you wanted to know about sex, but were afraid to ask, the joy of sex. And then a couple of great books on art, erotic art of the West, erotic art of the masters. Rembrandt could make a really good dirty picture if you think about it. So I grew up with, in Berkeley, it's topless women and protesting and all the alls. And more important, also in this book was a wonderful book by Betty Dodson, Dodson, DodsonandRoss.com. Book, it's now called Sex for One, but in the 70s, this book was called Liberating Masturbation. What? Say what? And Betty is 87. She's a radical woman. She was a sex person in the 60s when it was really difficult for women to do it. So she is the first person our bodies, ourselves, and all the alls. So all this stuff in the air, and you could pick and choose parts of it that worked for you. And I didn't have the words then. I knew I was bisexual and exhibitionistic and voyeuristic. I now know I'm a queer poly person, but I didn't have those words then. But I knew I wasn't like other kids. Yeah. I never dreamt of him. I never played wedding. My Barbies would have orgies. I never dreamt of a single partner. I always dreamt of multiple partners before, even though I knew that wasn't what you're supposed to want. But I wanted it. But I knew you weren't supposed to. But I did. So I grew up my parents were not sexually liberated because of their age category. They're just older people. Yeah. But they tried. They tried their damnedest, and it didn't quite work for them. And so all my other siblings are very conventional. I'm the weird one in the family. And I'm so grateful that my parents I'm so grateful for growing up in Berkeley, California, because if I'd been raised in a more religious household, maybe I would have been kicked out. Maybe I'd have a lot of guilt or shame. Maybe I would be thrice divorced. Maybe I'd be a repressed bitch, finger poking people. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know what would have happened. So I'm very grateful that I grew up and when I did, because I recognized early on that I got to choose the life that was best for me.
Which is a weird thing.
Which is for me, essentially non-traditional life. So I'm the only one in my family who didn't have kids. I have 8 nieces and nephews. I have 8 great nieces and nephews. I love being an auntie. I never wanted to be a mom because the 70s said you could choose to be a mom or not. Radical. Whoa, what? Because up until then, of course you had kids, right?
Yeah, you had to have kids. It wasn't. It was a prerequisite.
If you didn't want kids, what kind of bad woman were you? And so. I had access to a lot of information. I had a lot of freedom, and I didn't know anything about it till I was 18. I read a lot of books. I snuck into a porno movie once when I was 17 because it was still a theater era. But I didn't actually do something with a boy or a girl until I was graduated high school.
You were such a good girl.
The idea of being alone with a stranger was like, you know, because I had no socials. I had on paper, I had a lot of information. So I knew a lot.
Yeah.
It was all learning. I had no my social skill set sucked. I was a nerd. I was a completely bookish nerd. I didn't know how to actually negotiate. You know, I'd like to do this. What do you want to do? Conversation.
I was the exact opposite. That video that I told you about and that neighbor that was 13 and I was 8, for a month all summer, I was shooting blanks and we were trying to emulate the videos. And then by the end of the summer, it happened. I thought it was broken. I ran home. I was like, what is going on? Like, oh my God, you know. And whenever I tell somebody that, they always say, oh, and you know, you might want to go see a doctor. It sounds like you were sexually molested. I'm like, she was 13. I was 8. She was the neighbor girl. Like, I knew her for like 3 years. Like, it wasn't like she preyed on me. I took the tape to her, and she just happened to be sitting at home all day by herself while her mom was at work. And we were just practicing.
You do not need therapy.
I know I don't need therapy.
20. She was 20.
No, and do you know what the crazy thing was about that whole experience? Remember, you can see the pattern of things. I told you I sat with girls at lunch. So when you're 8 and you get to play with a girl, and then you go back to school, you think to yourself, other girls are going to want to play. And I'm sitting there waiting for somebody to want to do something, and nobody was doing anything. No, but that's my point. Nobody's even talking about it. So until I was 8 until even 13, I couldn't even have a conversation with anybody else. Nobody was talking about it. I'm just because I didn't bring it up. I didn't push on anybody. Again,
you're a smart boy.
Yeah, again, that's why I know I'm not broken inside, because I wasn't trying to pervert someone else with my experience. I just knew, like, well, if nobody else is talking about it, then, you know, okay. And then once I got to be like around 13, somebody was like, oh, well, you know, I'm thinking about hooking up with somebody. I was like, you trying to hook up with somebody? We hooking up. Who's hooking up? Everybody hooking up. We hooking up. We hooking up. Who's hooking up?
But 13's the right age for that, right?
Yes.
Puberty hit, and it's all interesting now.
Yeah, right? So, again, I was just so far ahead of the curve when it came to just... By that point, I paid years of attention to women. Like I said, I was sitting with them. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm sitting there waiting for my chance again, for a magical moment. And I'm just like, you know, just learning the skills and the trade of women, which put me on the right path to do what I was supposed to do. Which is why, again, I say I have to tell my daughter things and have to explain things to her.
Yes.
Because by the time my dad came to talk to me, I had already told him what was up. And he's like, oh. He's like, well, you need to use protection then. Like, that was the only thing I was missing. I didn't know anything about that. You know what I mean?
Well, you're 8.
Yeah, exactly.
What gets me amazed is that what amazes me about the very conservative wing, you know, we mustn't talk about these things because, quote unquote, it will give kids ideas, unquote. Mother Nature took care of that. Mother Nature makes it imperative that kids will get ideas. Yeah. 8 years old, 12 years old, 13, early bloomer, 11, late bloomer. Sooner or later, unless you are an Aspergian person or have autism or something, Mother Nature will make you interested in sexy stuff. Yeah. Most of the time, it's for the, quote, opposite sex. But, you know, a solid 20% of people, you know, are into same sex, whatever. Sooner or later, Mother Nature says, go out and get some.
And if you
figure it out.
And if you pay attention, you see it. My sister... we had a cousin that was like, when my sister was like 11, her cousin was like, we catch her touching herself. And everybody would be like, stop touching yourself, stop touching yourself. You know, like she'd be rubbing her chest, rubbing her thighs. And they'd be like, stop touching yourself. Well, 3 years later, she's 13 and pregnant. And everybody's like, oh my God. And my sister, they were best friends. And everybody told my sister, don't have a baby. She waited till she was a senior year. 2 weeks after she graduated senior year, she had her first baby. Had 4 more kids every year after that. Because in her mind, she saw her having a kid. And if it wasn't for somebody beating in her brain not to have a kid, she actually did well to hold off till end of high school. But she saw that. And she's like, she's a mom. I want to be a mom. And she wasn't even in that same sexual premise realm. But just seeing that and nobody explaining to her. And just also, yelling at her.
Yeah. And also, don't have a baby. That doesn't help. What do you mean? How do you not have a baby? And there's that. And also what you teach kids when you're little is like, sweetheart, not in the living room. That's for your bedroom. Yeah. Do that in your bedroom. You don't say, you can't tell a child, well, you can't, people do all the time, stop, don't touch yourself. So that sets up a confusion. And so eventually, when we can let young people develop self-love, They don't need to go looking for it from strangers or people who are not appropriate, simply because they need human contact and affection. People need affection. They need contact. They need hugs. They need, so for our mental health, forget sex. This is just for not to become psychotic rats in a maze. Humans need contact with other living things. And if you, yes, we prefer to have you, mommy and daddy and auntie and grandma hug you and hold you in their lap and give you sweets and all. But eventually, if you're lonely and you don't know what to do about it, you're going to find contact somewhere. And how many young people have babies because I want someone to love me?
Yeah. And that's a really key thing too, because
it's heartbreaking. It happens all the time. It's still happening all the time. And all because adults will not, unlike yourself, will not sit down and have conversation with their children and explain to them. So what adults do is they pass on the garbage that was done to them. The shaming, the ignorance, the rejection, the distaste. And so the child thinks something's wrong with me. And the first time someone over here says, no, you're fine. They don't know they're being predated, if that's what's happening. If it's the same age person that's not predating, that's just lonely kids trying to get on. So it's really messed up, and it goes on generation after generation. So you are breaking whatever cycle's going on with you because you're raising an aware daughter. Yeah. Go, Papa.
And it's one of those things where people don't understand. Like my dad, my grandmother had 11 children, and all the boys weren't allowed to hug my grandfather. And so when I got older, like there was a time period where my dad was like kind of standoffish, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm sorry." He's like, I know better. Like, don't worry about it. And every once in a while, he catch himself like shunning me off of him. And like we were like best friends. So like I got pictures like laying up and hugging up on my dad. People like, "Oh, that's strange." I was like, "He's my fucking dad. Like I love the dude. Like he's my dad. Like if I'm leaning or laying up against my dad, that's not a big deal." And the perception people have is another reason why I do stuff with a lot of kids. Like, you know, my daughter has a lot of friends. All of her friends, any kid that I'm around, my nieces, nephew, anybody's kids, the first thing they do when they see me is give me a hug and tell me about their day. Boys, the girls, I always get a hug. And my one friend's like, he's like, "Why do you always hug all these kids?" I was like, because a lot of parents don't give the kids attention. And I know in my heart that I'm not a pervert. And I want those kids to have an option in case they want to go talk to somebody. When they grow up, they're going to know that I always been there for them. I always show them love. You know what I mean? And they're going to say, "Oh, well, let me try and talk to him." And I want to be that person because I know the kind of person I am. So whether it's Jordan or Juliana or Adam or Lisa, like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And they come to give me a hug. "How you doing?" I throw them on the couch, you know what I mean? Kick them across the floor or something. But I always make sure I give them that attention because I want them to have positive reinforcement from an adult of somebody that's not their parents that love them and are looking out for them.
And not being inappropriate. So go, Papa. So your daughter's group of friends is very lucky to have you in it because the psychologists, they talk about the importance of one caring witness. So if the importance of big brothers, big sisters. So if a child can live through a lot if there's even one compassionate adult in their life that they know cares for them and understands what they're going through. A kid can make it through a lot intact. So having one witness, one adult such as yourself, who's not inappropriate, who's not relative, but is there for them as an adult person, makes all the difference. You may not know it yet, but you may be saving lives.
Well, hopefully I am saving lives because I'm a doctor. You know, it's one of those things. What's your favorite color?
Red and then blue, cobalt blue.
Cobalt blue.
Yep, the beautiful blue, that pure sapphire blue. You know, that beautiful blue.
Another cheesy question, then a good question. What's your favorite food?
Oh, wow.
These are things I can't find out on the internet, Nina. I don't know why you don't have them listed in your bio. I mean,
well, golly.
If I was trying to woo you or court you, I don't know what I'm to do.
Oh, the woman court me massage, baby.
Oh.
Learn how to rub my feet. Learn how to rub my shoulders. Give me a rub down. I'm yours. For me, foreplay. Don't go down to me for half an hour for foreplay. Give me a massage for half an hour, and then just roll me over and fuck me. Well, we're good.
You and I have a date with coconut oil.
Oh, stop.
I am amazing. Again, look, I got to use, see, I'm a big guy, so I got to use all the tricks to my ability.
Oh, no.
My massage skills are legendary.
Oh, well, then again, you know what? That might just be a fair exchange.
That might be a fair exchange.
No, I'm a massage junkie. I'm out for it. I like good 70% dark chocolate. I like a really good cup of coffee. Golly, favorite food, chocolate, but not any. I'm a chocolate snob, so it can't be any old chocolate.
Dinner food. Give me a dinner food or breakfast food.
Oh, dinner food. I like lobster, but not Red Lobster. I like real lobster. I like good bacon.
Bacon and lobster. That sounds
I'm a bacon eat. So bacon wrapped shrimp, bacon wrapped scallops. That works. I do eat meat, but I don't eat a lot of it. So a small steak works for me, but a big old steak, it's like, wow, that's like 4 meals. I grew up in a Zen monastery, so I do like. I like intelligent vegetarian cuisine. So I'm not vegan, but I do like, quality, highfalutin vegetarian cuisine,
yes.
not frozen carrots and potatoes, all that vegetarian.
The fancy stuff.
By people who know what they're doing.
Exactly, the fancy stuff, the good stuff.
You know what? But I love fresh corn on the cob. I love tomatoes out of the garden, real tomatoes out of the garden.
Jersey tomatoes are the best tomatoes in the world.
On white bread with mayonnaise. Ooh,
yes, Jersey tomatoes.
Homegrown tomatoes actually ripened in an actual bush, not. I don't buy store-bought tomatoes because they don't taste like anything.
No, it's just water. It's insane.
They're just and then get corn on the cob, pepper. I like garden stuff.
So, what in the porn industry? I don't know how real it is because I'm outside the industry. I don't really know, but I've heard all the interracial things are an issue for certain girls and not crossing over and who crosses over and when they cross over. They can't start out in the beginning. What was your I figured all that with your mindset. But I mean, when did you have your first interracial?
First scene.
Your first scene?
Yep, Billy D.
What?
I've been doing interracial since 1984.
Oh.
From all y'alls.
Oh. Yeah,
so the idea that it's going to hurt your money or that's just bullshit. Now, a woman can fuck anybody she wants. This is not it's not a regular office situation.
Yes.
This is not fair housing. I get to have in my body who I want to have in my body. So if a woman chooses not to do interracial scenes on her own, that's her choice. I don't diss her for that. There are people I don't like fucking either. But the agents who say, I don't charge extra for it. It's like, what? What the fuck? Wait, no, it's a specialty. No, it's not. He's a dude.
Yeah.
It's a dick. So then there are people, so some women do hold off on their first. So they first do girl solo, then they'll do girl. Susie's first boy-girl. Whoa! Susie's first anal. Susie's first black dick. Susie's first group sex.
Yeah.
So they want to do it.
The pattern.
But I'm in porn because I love sex. I like people watching it. So for me, I knew I was a lifer. The first time I went to my first job, I realized that this is my life. There is no life after sex work is where I'm staying. So for me, this is not a section of my life or a period in my life that I'm good. So even if I stop fucking on camera, it'll still be sex education until I'm dead. It'll still be helping other people fuck until I'm dead because that's my thing. So some women come into the business and they're more calculated about it. They're not. They say, okay, I can use my body and my talents and my willingness to be sexual on camera for a financial gain or an end or a career. I'm here. I made a career because I like fucking. But I like fucking anyway, and I'm an exhibitionistic anyway. So the money didn't make it. The money didn't make it okay for me to make movies.
When you do something you love, it's no longer a job.
Yes and no. I mean, unless you paid me, I'm not going to go fuck you on a hay bale on a stable on Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. That's a job.
Yes.
I prefer fucking in bed, personally speaking, because comfort. So the agencies that scare women away from doing interracial because somehow it's going to hurt their money, I just want to smack them. And that's very upsetting. It has never in any way affected my money. I have a 32-year career and I've been fucking black men all along.
Yeah.
And I've done my share of silly, stupid scenes with the fake. I mean, yes. So Speaking of interracial porn, shall we, is it a surprise to you to know that the place in the country that has the highest viewership of interracial porn is below the Mason-Dixon line?
Yeah.
Get out of town. No, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So and I've lost some fans over it, and I want to lose those fans, because if I can make a cracker unhappy, I will make a cracker unhappy. We cannot separate the images of sex that we have on camera from politics. And obviously, when you talk about interracial porn, it always means African-American man, white female.
Yeah.
It never means a white dude and a black chick. It never means a South Asian chick and a white dude. No, it's always.
I've had that conversation with people and they don't get it. They're like, what's the difference? I'm like, there's a huge difference.
Slavery. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, it shouldn't be called interracial. It should be called black guy, white chick. Like, interracial.
Interracial truly is. First, of course, race is a construction. There is no race.
Yeah.
If any humans, we're all the same species. Any human can breed with any other human of the opposite gender and have offspring that are not infertile. Therefore, we're not making mules here.
Yeah.
So you have a black person, white person. They're going to have a child who will also go on to have children and not be sterile. So there's all that. There's all that bullshit. But we cannot ever. We live in America. We cannot ever detach race and sex. Black women are more sexual. They're more animalistic. Black men have big dicks and want to fuck all the white women because and white women are either fascinated by the black penis or terrified of the black penis, and blah, blah. And so in cuckold movies, it's always, for cuckolding, it's always a white cuck and a black bull.
Yeah.
The fact that they even call it's like, whoa, what?
Like, you should just simplify the term. You're trying to guise it in this mask of what it's not, and it's always the same. Like, when anybody goes to porn sites and just search it, every single essence comes up that way. Big black dick and the husband and his wife, and she's like, oh my God, it's so big, I never thought that I would. And then it's the same pattern of crap over and over again. And the
going back to the cartoon analogy. So people can fantasize whatever they want, and so that's why whenever I do scenes with black men, I never mention color. It's your beautiful cock, your big cock, your hard cock. It's never your big black cock. Is like sort of obvious.
Yeah, I can see it.
Get out of town, right?
And it's such a deep stereotype in things. There was a girl that, again, I played a long game. I've gone out with this girl 7 or 8 times. Yep. And we always had a great time. And every time at the end of the night, it turned into this, we were hooking up and then it would just end. And then finally, I'm just like, what is it? Is it because you're Jewish and I'm not Jewish? Is it a religious thing? Like, what's going on? Like, why aren't we?
The black men go back to the 60s.
And that's what sounds like. I was like, what is it? And she's like, honestly, I just don't. I never had sex with a black guy. I just don't want to deal with a big penis. And I'm like, oh, I got a regular average size penis, baby. You thought it was, we in all packet. It's like, I got a normal, like, it's not even too girthy. Like, it's like an average. Like, I'm pushing like 7.5 at my max. Like, I'm just normal. Like, it's just, it ain't 13. It ain't no arm. Like, and she was like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, is that why we know? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been wasting all this time. Yeah.
Did you ever get to it?
Yeah.
Nice.
It worked out.
Is she on the rotation now?
Yeah. When I get in the city, I see her every once in a while. But it was so bad because there were so many times where I'm just like, what is going? We're having such a great time, and I'm thinking that I personally can't mess up that many times in a row because I learn from my own mistakes. If I mess up and I get another shot, I fix the problem.
Right.
But I was just like, I couldn't figure it out. And she's like, yeah. I was like, oh, that's not me. I'm normal. I'm just a regular dude.
And that is where stereotypes. So there are a lot of stereotypes around black men. So the police often think that young black boys are older than they are. Tamir Rice was a sweet little 12-year-old boy, but in the police officer's mind, he's 14, therefore a baby thug. So people believe stereotypes. Stereotypes hurt. And 7.5 inches, 2 inches above average, just so you know. But 7.5. So it sounds perfect. So yay. People, I tell people, look, there's daily dick and special occasion cock. And the difference is 6 inches in my day rate.
Yeah.
So people say, Nina, I got 10 inches and I can go all night. It's like, cut off 4 inches, call me in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, so if I can get a woman off with 2 fingers, clearly you don't need 10 inches of dick. And I've been fucking women since 1977. I have been sexually in contact with probably close to 1,000 women in my 40 years of having sex. And I've got to tell you, I have met fewer of 1,000 women. I've met fewer than 20 who are size queens, as in they need big penis. Tina Tyler from Pornoland was one such person. She was very, very open about it. For me, Lexington Steele has 2.5 times more dick than I can possibly use. And for Tina, Lexington was really nice. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Where does it go? What are you doing in there? So there are fewer women who love big penis than there are men with big penis. And for a big penis is 8+. There's more of those guys than there are women who go, oh my gosh, I love that. That's what I want. For my daily dick, I want to be able to be woken up being fucked, not woken up in pain.
Yeah.
So whatever size that is, you know, so big dick, that's that work. That's that they pay me to fuck dick that big. But in my book, Hartley's Guide to Total Sex, I do talk about how to manage if there is a size differential. Either he's too big or she's too loose. I find ways I tell you how to work with that because there are practical. I'm a nurse. I'm all about practicality, practical. So I'm all about how to practically handle that. But I'm glad that you get to hook up with her when you get to the city. Yay, you.
So my dad was a very well-endowed guy. So that talk we had when I was younger came with so how big is it? What are you working with? You did something like, what is it? I'm like, it's not really like, Dad, it's actually really small. Like it grows to be like a good size. He's like, oh, you're a grower, not a shower. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, be happy. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm around 11 to 12 inches. And he's like, you don't know how many times I've gotten into a room with a girl naked in bed and she says, no, I can't do it. And women just don't know what to do with it and they freak out. He's like, it must have skipped a generation. He's like, be happy. And I'm just like, okay. And again, a thing where I'm having a conversation with an adult never had me feel shameful about my size and all that kind of stuff because he's like, look.
And also, if you're truly 7.5, you are bigger than average. 7.5 is the perfect all-around length. You're big enough to be big, but you're not so big as to be freakish, but you're not small. So yay. So
I just found out about micro penises. I did not know that micro penis was a thing. Because
it happens when there is a disruption during the puberty phase of the pituitary hormone, and the penis doesn't get the grow now message. And if the doctors find out about it soon enough, the boy can be given growth hormone. He can be given hormones. It can be fixed.
Oh, but really?
There's one man I heard about, his parents during the time he could have been helped, his parents never saw him naked, so they didn't know that there was anything wrong. And so by the time it was discovered, he was like 35 and way past being able to do anything about it. But if the doctor discovers it between 8 and 12, it can be ameliorated. So yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, so people, check out your kids. That sounds crazy. They're your kids. That sounds so crazy. Check out your kids. Make sure they don't have it because they might be embarrassed for us. Again, I'm a grower, not a shower. So somebody was saying something to me, and I was like, do I have a micro penis? She's like, no, yours grows. Like, yours gets bigger. She's like, I'm talking about like fully. And I'm like, no way. And she's like, Google it. And we Googled it, and I'm like,
yeah.
Woo, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. And again,
they're all kinds of, once you start going down the sexual education wormhole, there's so much weird stuff out there. It's crazy. And then there
doesn't sound real.
I know. Then there are people who are born. They have a vagina, but they don't have a uterus or ovaries because they can't get pregnant. Obviously, they look female, but they show XY, and they tend to have amazingly beautiful complexions without getting acne. So, but they also cannot get. They're not women and they're not men. And
I saw stories about that. I saw a sports story actually where I don't even know what to call. I guess. I think he identified as a boy, but he looked like a girl. But it was like that. And I think it's called
androgen insensitivity syndrome. So it said it's a fascinating subspecialty of medicine in the endocrinology world of things. So all the hormones and stuff.
It's crazy, especially right now, like when we're living in the you can't use the bathroom and this and that. And I'm like, more Republicans are molested and had sex in the bathroom than a transgender person has. Like, how many politicians get caught in the bathroom sucking dick out of a hole or something? You know what I mean?
Are the ones who are in danger. And also, honestly, if you're talking about a trans girl, girls use stalls. They go to the stall, they close the door. They don't pee in front of other people. It's, boys have to do that, which I think is really sort of rude, and not letting boys have privacy to pee, because not every boy can do that. Hello.
Yeah. And that's something people don't really get. Like, I was saying something to somebody. I was like, well, my daughter was a kid and I had to take her to the male bathroom. I wasn't worried about somebody coming in and raping her in the bathroom. Like, she was with me. I had to watch her. What am I supposed to do? When she got older, I sent her in the bathroom. Guess what? She goes in the bathroom. She comes out. Like, it's not like there's this whole, she's been in the bathroom for 3 hours screaming for help and nobody's coming to help her.
You're standing right there at the door.
Like, it's just so, I'm like, where are these perversions of stories, this imaginative, like, what's going to happen are you coming up with? Like, my goodness, they're children and they're people. And again, like you said, they're more victims than anybody else. They know what it's like to be a tortured soul and feel different and have somebody be on their back or watching them. Like, come on. Like, it's just a bathroom. Can we go to the bathroom?
Yeah, I know. We have to. We're coming up to the end of the hour. We're gonna have to do this again, Doctor.
We will. Oh, it is. It's 53 minutes. See, that's what happens when we're having fun.
I know. You can find me on Twitter at Ninaland, like Disneyland only Ninaland. I'm not on Instagram. I have a not safe for work site, Nina.com, and you can buy my not safe for work clips at Clips for Sale, Slam Dog Studios, and I'm one of the people in the Slam Dog Studios.
And make sure you check out it's Nina.com. I'm going to link up all her stuff and her book.
Not safe for work. Don't look at it at work.
No, not work. I mean, I'm going to have to put a little thing on this podcast. So but
I do have an almost safe for work. I have a mom approved vlog out there. If you do a search for Tuesdays with Nina, you see a bunch of talking heads with me in this chair with this background, fully dressed, talking about sex. People send in real questions and I answered them. So I'm not nude. I barely swear. No sex toys fly across the screen. Tuesdays with Nina. I call them mom approved, because if you want your mom to like, who's Nina Hartley? Let's start here.
Yeah, okay? Let's with the basics. If you can handle this, we can upgrade you. Okay,
because I don't wear makeup in the Tuesdays with Nina, so I'm really regular looking, and so I try to put the women at ease, because the secret I want to tell you, of course you're not doing threesomes. When I meet couples, the secret is I always flirt with the woman, because first, I like women, and secondly, I can find something authentic to compliment her on. Her smile, her jewelry, her hair, her shoes, something. And then I will whisper in her ear about, thank you for taking care of this man for me. I can't do it all myself. So I leave her with a jolt of confidence that she's a sexy person. If I flirt with him, there's going to be a fight. Yeah. If I flirt with her, there's going to be sex.
Yeah, exactly. So let me end this with one. I love you more than I loved you before, and I loved you a lot then. So just imagine this love is magnified by 7.
We'll see you in Jersey. We'll have to bring your camera. We'll do another one.
Definitely. Also, just know that this woman is like really smart. She's like really one of the best people on the planet if you want to get educated. I'm your boy JJ Student Doctor. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of stuff too. You can find me, but just go check out something of Nina's, especially the book, and read and get some education on. I'm out.